There comes a silent moment in life when you start to understand that your worth has never been something you had to announce loudly. It was never intended to be proven through endless explanations or desperate efforts to be understood. Your value has always existed in the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to the world, and the way you treat your own spirit when nobody is watching. People often think respect must be demanded in a loud way, but the deepest respect is usually earned through the quiet language of actions. The world is always observing even when it seems not to be paying attention. People notice the tone of your patience, the dignity in your silence, and the calm strength in the way you handle disappointment. These small actions become silent lessons for everyone around you. Without saying a single word, you begin showing people exactly how you expect to be treated. One of the most powerful things a person can learn is the art of calm silence. Silence is often misunderstood. Many believe silence means weakness or fear, but real silence is not empty. It is filled with awareness. When you choose not to argue with every insult, when you decide not to react to every misunderstanding, you are not losing your voice. You are protecting your inner peace. There is great strength in a person who does not feel the need to respond to every storm. The world slowly begins to recognize that someone who protects their peace so carefully must be carrying something valuable inside. People who chase every argument often lose their dignity because they allow others to pull them into chaos. But the person who remains steady in their truth creates a quiet boundary. Others learn that your energy is not easily disturbed. In that stillness, they begin to understand the distance between your calm and their noise. Another quiet behavior that teaches people your worth is the courage to walk away from what does not respect you. Leaving is never simple. The heart often tries to stay attached to familiar places even when those places slowly break it. But there comes a moment when you realize that staying somewhere you are not valued slowly takes away pieces of your spirit. Walking away does not always require anger. Sometimes it is just a gentle decision to choose yourself. When you remove yourself from disrespect, you send a message that your presence is not something to be taken lightly. People begin to realize that your kindness is not permission for mistreatment. Many people stay where they are ignored because they fear being alone. But solitude has never been the enemy of growth. In many ways, solitude is where self-respect is rebuilt. When you choose peace over attachment, the world begins to see that your value does not depend on anyone's approval. There is also something deeply powerful about consistency. The way you show up every single day becomes a silent statement of who you are. Anyone can act with grace once or twice, but character is revealed through repetition. When you continue to act with integrity even when life becomes careless, people start to trust the stability of your spirit. Consistency builds a quiet reputation. It shows others that you are not easily shaken by circumstances. Your kindness is not temporary. Your principles are not flexible. Over time, people begin to feel that your presence carries weight. Another behavior that quietly teaches people your worth is the ability to listen more than you speak. There is wisdom in a person who does not rush to fill every silence with words. Listening shows respect, but it also shows understanding. When you truly listen, you begin to see people more clearly than they see themselves. Those who listen carefully often notice hidden truths in conversations. They hear pain behind laughter, insecurity behind pride, and loneliness behind confidence. Because of this understanding, they respond with thoughtfulness instead of judgment. People naturally respect those who speak with intention rather than impulse. Words become powerful when they are not wasted on unnecessary noise. There is also strength in knowing when to say no. Many people struggle with this simple word because they fear disappointing others. But a person who never says no slowly loses control of their own life. Boundaries are not walls meant to push people away. They are lines that protect your peace and preserve your energy. When you begin saying no to what drains you, something changes. People start realizing your time has value. They understand your presence cannot be taken for granted. Saying no teaches others that your life is not an endless resource for others to use without thought. Another quiet behavior that reveals your worth is self-respect during failure. Life will always bring challenges. There will be days when plans fall apart and moments when everything feels heavier than your strength. But your worth is not defined by the absence of struggle. It is revealed in how you rise after it. The person who stands again after disappointment without bitterness carries a special kind of strength. They understand mistakes are not permanent labels. They become lessons that shape wisdom. When people see someone who refuses to stay broken by hardship, they begin to recognize a strength that cannot easily be ignored. Gratitude is another silent teacher of worth. A grateful spirit does not ignore difficulty, but it refuses to let darkness become the entire story. Gratitude keeps the heart open even when life becomes complicated. It helps you notice beauty in ordinary moments. When people meet someone who appreciates life, instead of constantly complaining about it, they feel it instantly. Gratitude creates warmth that naturally draws others in. It shows that your spirit carries richness that material things cannot measure. And perhaps one of the strongest behaviors of all is remaining kind in a world that often rewards cruelty. Kindness is often mistaken for weakness, but real kindness requires deep strength. It takes courage to treat people gently when bitterness would be easier. Kindness does not mean allowing others to misuse you. It means choosing humanity even when the world forgets it. The person who stays kind while keeping their boundaries becomes rare. People eventually realize that someone who holds kindness and dignity together carries real inner power. When all these behaviors come together, something changes. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. Your life becomes the proof. Your calm teaches patience. Your boundaries teach respect. Your silence teaches wisdom. Your kindness teaches humanity. The strongest truth is that people often learn how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself. When you honor your peace, others begin to value it. When you protect your time, people begin to respect it. When you stop chasing validation, your confidence becomes clear without effort. There will always be people who misunderstand quiet strength. Some are more comfortable in loud spaces where attention is easily demanded. But true worth has never needed noise. It moves steadily, quietly, and confidently through life. With time, even those who once doubted begin to notice the difference. They see that your silence is not emptiness, your calm is not weakness, and your boundaries are not pride. They begin to understand that everything about your behavior is intentional. Life becomes lighter when you stop trying to prove yourself to those who refuse to see your value. Your energy becomes clearer when it is no longer wasted on seeking approval. Instead, you begin using that energy to become a more honest version of yourself. The right people will always recognize authenticity. They will notice the strength behind your calm, the kindness behind your restraint, and the courage behind your boundaries. Your worth was never meant to be negotiated or explained in crowded places. It is written quietly in the way you live each day. Every moment becomes a reflection of who you are. The way you respond to disrespect shows people your limits. The way you protect your peace shows people your value. And slowly, without you ever needing to announce it, people begin to understand something powerful. They realize your worth was never in their hands to define. It has always lived within you. True confidence begins the moment you stop seeking validation from the wrong people. For a long time, many individuals live believing approval is what defines their value. They measure themselves through reactions of others. A kind word lifts them, while silence or criticism lowers them. Slowly, their self-worth becomes tied to opinions that were never meant to define them. This need for validation often starts with a simple desire to be seen, accepted, and understood. There is nothing wrong with wanting connection, but the problem begins when this need turns into dependence, when every decision becomes shaped around pleasing people who may never truly recognize your worth. Many people spend years trying to prove themselves to those who have already decided not to see them clearly. They adjust their personality, lower their voice, and shrink their presence just to be accepted. They give more, try harder, and wait for appreciation that rarely comes. Instead, they receive silence, criticism, or indifference. Over time, they start feeling invisible even in crowded places. The truth is not that they lack value. The truth is they are searching for recognition in the wrong place. At some point, a quiet realization begins to form. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will appreciate your effort. And not everyone is meant to validate your existence. At first, this realization feels heavy, but later it becomes freeing. When you accept that the wrong people cannot define your worth, their opinions lose power over your emotions. You begin to understand that your value was never meant to depend on those who cannot recognize it. True confidence develops slowly. It begins when you start listening to your own voice more than outside noise. Instead of asking others for approval, you begin asking yourself whether you are living honestly. This shift changes everything. You stop explaining every decision. You stop defending every choice. You begin trusting yourself. As the confidence grows, your energy returns to you. You stop spending it on impressing others and start using it for growth, creativity, and self-respect. You build a life that reflects who you truly are, not who others expect you to be. This kind of confidence is calm. It does not demand attention, yet it naturally earns respect. People can feel when someone has stopped chasing approval. There is a steady presence in their words and actions. Relationships also begin to change. You no longer cling to people who drain your energy. You become more selective, choosing connections that feel honest and respectful. Conversations become deeper because they are no longer driven by fear of rejection. Letting go of validation also strengthens boundaries. You stop saying yes to everything. You stop tolerating behavior that hurts your peace. You understand that protecting yourself is not but necessary. Some people may misunderstand this change. They may think you are distant. But in reality, you are just no longer available for disrespect. Real confidence does not argue endlessly. It stays steady. Over time, peace becomes more present in your mind. You think less about how others see you and more about how you want to live. This mental freedom allows creativity and courage to grow. Mistakes no longer feel like identity failures. They become lessons. This journey also builds empathy. You begin to understand how many people are stuck in the same cycle of seeking approval. Instead of judging them, you recognize their struggle. There will still be moments of doubt. Old habits do not disappear overnight. But now those thoughts no longer control your direction. They pass through your mind without changing your path. The day you stop seeking validation from the wrong people is the day your identity becomes stable. Your confidence no longer depends on applause. It depends on self-understanding. Your calm response in difficult moments reveals the depth of your character. Life often places you in situations that test patience, emotion, and strength. In such moments, reactions can either create peace or create regret. Anyone can stay calm when life is easy, but real character shows when things become difficult. Many people react quickly, allowing anger to speak before thought. Later, they often regret it. A calm response does not mean lack of emotion. It means control over emotion. You still feel everything, but you do not let those feelings control your actions. This is emotional strength. When you respond calmly, you change the entire energy of a situation. Instead of adding to chaos, you reduce. This surprises people who expect conflict. It shows maturity. Calmness is often built through experience. It grows from learning that not every situation deserves reaction. Not every insult needs a reply. Protecting peace becomes more important than proving points. When you pause before reacting, you begin to see clearly. You notice that many people speak from pain or misunderstanding. This awareness helps you respond wisely instead of emotionally. Remaining calm during disrespect is not weakness, it is discipline. It shows that you are not easily controlled by outside behavior. Calmness also protects relationships. Words spoken in anger can damage trust, but calm communication creates understanding instead of conflict. This does not mean accepting disrespect. You can still set boundaries while staying calm. Strength and calmness can exist together. In difficult moments, calm people often become anchors for others. Their presence creates stability. They guide conversations towards solutions instead of arguments. Calmness also reflects self-awareness. You understand your emotions and choose how to respond. This awareness helps you stay balanced even when others are not. Over time, this quality builds trust. People feel safe around those who do not react impulsively. They know conversations will remain respectful. Calmness also shows confidence. A person who knows their worth does not need to react to every criticism. They understand their value is not defined by others. Life will always bring challenges. What matters is how you respond. Calmness reveals patience, intelligence, and self-respect. It also protects your energy. Constant reactions create stress. Calm responses preserve your mental peace. People who develop this strength often learned it through experience. They remember times when reactions caused regret. Those lessons shape their behavior. Your calm presence also influences others. It encourages them to slow down and think before reacting. In the end, your calm response becomes a silent message. It shows that you value peace over chaos and dignity over impulse. The more you respect yourself, the less you feel the need to prove yourself to anyone. Many people spend their lives trying to show others their worth. They explain and seek approval constantly, which slowly drains their peace. Self-respect changes this completely. It teaches you that your value does not depend on applause. You begin to understand that your actions already speak for you. A self-respecting person becomes comfortable with who they are. They no longer need to adjust themselves to gain acceptance. They accept both strengths and flaws. Self-respect also brings honesty. You stop hiding your true thoughts just to avoid judgment. You speak more openly and stand by your beliefs without fear. Boundaries become clearer. You stop allowing people to drain your energy. Saying no becomes a form of self-protection, not guilt. This shift improves relationships. You naturally attract people who respect honesty and distance yourself from those who do not. Self-respect also brings calmness. You no longer feel pressure to compete or compare yourself with others. Your focus shifts to growth. Mistakes become easier to accept. You see them as learning moments, not as personal failures. Emotional independence grows. Your mood is no longer controlled by approval or criticism. You remain stable even when opinions change. Over time, this creates quiet confidence. You do not need to explain yourself constantly. Your presence speaks for itself. This transformation does not happen instantly. It comes from experience, reflection, and growth. Many people reach this understanding after feeling drained from pleasing others. Gradually, they rebuild their self-worth. They begin valuing their time, protecting their peace, and trusting their judgment. As self-respect grows, as the need to prove yourself fades, life becomes simpler, calmer, and more authentic.